Good morning, Tallahassee. It's time to wake up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi and Corey Clark.
What is up, everybody? It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio. I'm Aslan, he's Corey. You already know that, but I keep saying it. Corey, one day closer to kickoff. Update us on your sort of, your outlook on life and football and the season.
Well, we're also one day closer to death. All of us, really. But I am excited about college football. It's here. We got the first. That first Saturday. There's some real games this weekend. Not the nonsense that we had in week 0 or whatever they called it, but some real games. So I'm excited about that. And then obviously Monday night we got the big one, the game that everybody's been waiting on.
Why you
Florida State, Virginia Tech.
Why you disrespecting Hawaii and Colorado State? That was a good one. It's a good game.
I mean, it was nonsense. Who cares? Who could possibly care about those games?
Such a Southern football snob, man. Such a Southern football snob. Such an elitist. Elitist.
I know.
All right, let's get to it. Yesterday, we got to speak to Willie. It was his weekly press conference, which will usually be on Mondays, but due to the fact that there is a game on Monday, the whole schedule kind of gets thrown upside down. So this press conference was yesterday. We got the depth chart. We got to ask him some questions. I want to talk about the depth chart, Corey. You fine talking about the depth chart right now?
I am. I think you should also let people know that there will be a Peter Warrick interview later on in this show.
Okay.
So stay tuned or fast forward or whatever you want to do, but there's a really good Peter Warrick interview later on in this show.
Okay. Also,
you don't bury the lead, Aslan.
I've done this twice. I did it when we were doing the War Chant report earlier. I didn't even talk about the blackout, which I just mentioned the blackout or the not blackout. They're going to wear black uniforms, everybody, but it's not a blackout. These are two mutually exclusive things.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, could you be more excited about any news, Florida State fans? Your team's going to wear black uniforms. But I thought Willie's. Well, no, you know what? Let's talk. I don't want to talk about the uniforms to kick off with, if that's okay.
Okay, Tom
I'd
Rinaldi.
rather talk about the depth chart.
Gotcha, Tom Rinaldi. Wait, real quick. Wait, actually, Corey, real quick too. I buried another lead. Knoll 2018, 50% off, new subscribers, 1-year subscription to warchant.com. Somebody actually gave us a shout out on the tribal council. They didn't tag us or anything, but they just simply named the thread "Wake Up." And NB13N said, "Thanks for making the commute to work bearable every morning. Finally joined War Chant after months of the podcast." So welcome to the fam.
Welcome to the fam, buddy. It's going to be the best. Well, I don't know exactly what rate you bought it at. I assume it might have been here the last couple of days, but either way, it's the best amount of money you've ever spent. Let's put it that way. I don't know if it was $100 or $50 or $80 or whatever it was, but it's well worth every penny. Okay,
to the depth chart now. Anything make you upset? I'm upset that my boy Nasir Upshur is the 4th string tight end because
that's odd.
In every single open portion of practice, and I've been in all of them. I don't think I've missed one single one. He has never been 3rd or 4th in line when it comes to doing drills with the tight ends. I mean, again, it's individuals. We only see 4 or 5 periods. They do about a 25, 26 period practice. But in none of that individual stuff have I ever seen Nasir Upshur 3rd or 4th. And I've never seen Gabe Neighbors or Jonathan Vickers in front of him ever. Now, is it that big of a deal? No, but ultimately I know people see that and they're like, well, what do these guys know? They're talking about Nasir Upshur. They wrote a column about him or a feature about him, and he's 4th string. I mean, I'm not calling Willie like a gamesmanship salesman or anything like that, but that was one thing that I'm like, come on, really? Like, am I blind? We've not been watching the same thing at the practices that you run every day, but that's not that big of a concern. What caught your eye, Corey?
Well, that caught my eye. In the fact, not only that, but like Alexander Marshall and Cam McDonald.
Not even
one of those guys are even on the depth chart at tight end. I mean, they're kind of stacked at tight end. There's 6 guys, like I guess 6 scholarship tight ends, which is a ton. But it's eye-opening that a guy like Upshur, who has had a good, at least we thought it had a good camp, certainly looks the part. He's got 2 converted guys in front of him on the depth chart. Now we'll see how Willie sticks to that bad boy once we're actually in. It's just a piece of paper. We don't know the truth. We'll see on Monday night what the truth is. I would be stunned if that dude is really the 4th string. Other than that, No, I guess maybe I didn't like that there were so many oars with the wide receivers. I thought that was odd. Yeah. But literally, Keith Gavin is starting. We know that. And then the other two spots are allegedly being fought
over.
There's 6 players. Yeah, they're fought over. There's 6 players fighting for those other 2 spots that could still perhaps start. I mean, we think Naquan would be one. And then, I don't know who the other one would be. Maybe Terry, maybe who knows? I mean, really, who even knows? But like, there's 3 freshman wide receivers on the depth chart. I do think he's going to play all those guys, but I don't know that Ontario Wilson is going to be starting ahead of some of those other guys. We'll see. He's a talented dude, but that caught my eye, and then the Upshur caught my eye, and then Woodby being not having an or by his name. He's just flat out starting at star.
See, that didn't surprise me. I felt he's the one guy that we knew.
I wasn't surprised. I'm not surprised that he's starting on Monday night. I guess I was surprised that out of all the other positions that did have an or, Woodby's like, no. They're like, no, he's our starter. We're not going to even pretend that somebody else is fighting for that spot with him.
I'll be honest. I've got problems with this whole entire depth chart, Corey. I mean,
that's not a shocker, is it?
I guess I clearly don't know anything about football or nearly as much as I thought I did. I guess. I mean, by the way, it's Tamarion. Sorry about that. T squared. It's Tamarion. Really?
Have you been saying Tamorian?
I've been saying Tamorian. Yeah, the phonetic spelling of
Tamarion.
Tamarion. Yeah, Tamarion.
Oh, all right.
So Tamarion.
There's no E there.
I'm just telling you what's on the pronunciation guide. Also, they don't like Jacques Patrick, but we're gonna. I mean, this is what we're doing.
Jacques. We all know he's Jacques. Everybody knows that's what he's called. But Tamarion is spelled with it's like MMO, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's gonna. Hey, that's gonna be like he's just gonna have to get used to it, man. If he's gonna play in the NFL
like
for 12 years and go to the Hall of Fame like we think he is. Ain't nobody calling him Tamarion unless he wants to change that O to an E.
Tamarion.
Yeah, no, it's Tamorian.
So, he's apparently third string with Trayshawn Harrison, a true freshman who's only been on campus for probably about 30 days, and Ontario Wilson, a converted defensive back, are both in front of the guy that Willie said when I walked out.
But they're not, though. It's 2 ors.
Well, then why is he not the top guy on there? Okay, all right.
Maybe they went alphabetically.
Okay, and Anthony Grant, there's no way Anthony Grant is behind Amir Rasul. Sorry, just not happening. I mean, you don't talk about the guy the way you talked about, and then you just throw Amir Rasul's name in there just because, I should probably say his name so his family doesn't get upset, because that's what happened. And, the Mike Arnold, Cole Minshew thing is not that much of a surprise because we know that Cole's been banged up, but Jawan Williams is entrenched, obviously, the left tackle spot. Derek Kelly's good. On the defensive side of the ball, really? Hamza and Cyrus Fagan. The 2 guys that I'm like, I like our safeties. They're both backups. They're both second string. Apparently, A.J. Westbrook has had some really big renaissance under Harlan Barnett. And, they've spoken in glowing terms about him, talked about how smart of a football player he is. That's the one that I'm like, really? I'm like, the 2 starting safeties that I think most of us had projected, in Cyrus Fagan and Hamza Nasruddin. Nope, they're backups.
Well, but once we knew that Samuels was moved to safety, one of those guys wasn't starting. Not at the safety spot anyway. And, in fact, I don't know how healthy Samuels is anyway. So Nasruddin's going to play a bunch, I would have to imagine. But, again, man, you start with clean slates. And that goes for both sides of the ball. And I don't think Harlan Barnett plays a lot of games when it comes to depth charts. I mean, I think he thinks that A.J. Westbrook is his better safety right now. I don't know how we could argue that. There's not enough film. There's not enough that we've seen from either one of those guys to say definitively who should be on the field. And if Nasruddin's fighting it out with Stanford Samuels, well, I mean, it's not like he's behind Corey Mangum. But again, I don't know how much Stanford Samuels is going to play anyway. But Willie, the biggest news I thought is that Willie does think he's going to play and thinks Kendo is going to play.
How'd you like my question? You didn't like it, did you? I didn't like my question either.
Well, I didn't think it was. I thought you could have asked it without. I mean, you just could have asked like, "What's wrong with him?" Because he wasn't. But I mean, it worked out, right? He just said he was going to play, which is what you wanted anyway. You got the answer that we all wanted.
Nah, not really.
I've always thought questions are overrated, Aslan.
I want to know the truth.
It's about
man.
getting the response.
I want to know the truth. I want to know what's wrong. Is it a bone and joint thing? What's going on with Josh Kando? But Marvin Wilson's also.
I'll let you know.
Yeah. Shout out to Doc Kando. That's what he's going to be when he's all grown up. But Fred Jones ahead of Marvin Wilson. That is what it is. I think Marvin just having to deal with all these injuries, and not all these injuries, but the injury and missing time, and the fact that Fred Jones, he's a fifth-year senior. Give him some love. Put his name in paper in front of him. So.
Well, and I also think he might legitimately start. Like if Marvin Wilson's only been practicing for a week, I think Odell Haggins will be like, all right, well, 55 starting for us. And is Marvin in game shape? They're both going to have to play a ton, especially in a game that's going to have 160, 170 plays. They're going to both have to play a lot. So I don't know that it matters so much at defensive tackle who starts, because I think they're going to be rotating plenty in there.
I also just noticed that James Blackman and Bailey Hockman are an or proposition.
Yeah, that's right. Don't want one of them to transfer. So make them both think they're second string.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 oars.
Yeah, I know. You should have read my story, man, on the depth chart. Yeah, there's 9 oars. In the wide receivers, there's 6 guys that are potential starters for 2 spots. But again, I thought it was telling that Gavin is the one receiver that's like, they're like, nope, he's earned it. He's one of the starters.
Yeah, Keith's got.
I think he's kind of a forgotten guy, but I do think obviously he's got some real. He's got some pretty impressive physical ability and physical traits. And if Taggart said that he's really impressed them since they got there, and maybe people do break out after 2 seasons. It happens. Kelvin Benjamin was on campus for 2 seasons, and then he turned into what he turned into. So it can happen, and he'll be an interesting guy to watch, man, because none of us doubt his talent. He's got to catch the football, but none of us doubt his talent, and he's a matchup nightmare, man. He is a big dude that can fly.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is just we see portions of practice, and I never see him go first. I never see him go second. I never see him, and boom. But, okie doke, pulled it around on you.
But again, man, I would caution that because we're not seeing a lot of the practice. We're not seeing the stuff that. I mean,
DeAndre's
7 in the 11-on-11.
But I mean, DeAndre's taking the first snap now with the offense when they're out there. Jawan Williams is out there at the first team offensive line. So's Derek Kelly. I mean, those guys are out there doing that. And Brian Burns is taking first. He's first in line when they're doing defensive end drills. Like those guys, even though they pick and choose. Like, oh no, Keith, like you hang tight. Let's let these guys with the notebooks leave, and then we're going to get you back up to the front. Again, and I'm not trying to make too big a deal out of it. This is more of just.
They're all going through the same drill, right? Like I just want people to understand we're not watching 11-on-11 or 7-on-7. We don't see like, hey, this is the starting offense against the starting defense. We see them go through position drills. Well, if they're all running the same drill, they're all getting the same reps. I mean, sure, I guess you'd want your leader to go first, but I don't think that we can, from what we see, determine whether a guy is, quite frankly, had a good camp or not. From what we see, not from what we hear, but from what we see, we can't determine if a guy's had a great camp or where he is in the pecking order. When it comes to the stuff that matters, the stuff that I think they really judge by, which is the team-on-team stuff.
Look, I don't want to argue. I really don't want to argue over this, but I'm gonna. This is like what's the point of the 5 guys hitting the sled together on the offensive line? Like those aren't going to be the 5 guys that are going to play together.
But that's different than that's fine. That is the core. That's the 5 guys, but they're all going to hopefully play every snap of every game this season together, and you want a cohesion there. But Keith Gavin, it doesn't matter to him who's on the other side of the field. Like he's still running his route, and he's still doing what he's supposed to do. I don't think it's like. But
shouldn't he be receiving passes from DeAndre Francois every time he's taking a snap? Then should he not be catching passes from the walk-on? I don't know. That's. I mean,
but watch him in warm-ups, man. They even in warm-ups before Monday night, there will be Nooney Murray will catch a pass from a walk-on. Right. That's just what they do. I get what you're saying, but Keith Gavin might have had a really good camp. I mean, there's no reason to doubt that he did.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not doubting Keith. I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful. I can see it. I can see it.
But I will say this: the last time I was out there, Bailey Hockman was the first quarterback to take a snap. When they do when they go down the field really quick and do their go turbo, whatever they call it, right. Bailey Hockman was the first guy.
Yeah, that was
running with the one.
That was back in July. I'm just kidding. I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
that was April.
It's a joke. It's a joke, everybody. All right, hey, man, I've talked way too much about this. I'm sorry, everybody. To make it up to you, Peter Warrick, we're going to talk to him right after this. 97.9 ESPN Radio, it's Wake Up War Chant.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Welcome back, folks. He's Corey Maslon. It's 97.9 ESPN Radio. It is Wake Up War Chant. Hope you're having a great one. And the opener is going to be pretty cool, Corey, because Sod Talk returns because it's a home game. And you heard from Marvin Jones earlier in the week, and he'll be introducing, this is how big our next guest is. Marvin Jones is introducing him.
Yeah, that's saying something.
Right? Sugar Bowl MVP, consensus All-American, two-time consensus All-American, Peter Warrick, but you all call him P-Dub.
The 1999 Heisman Trophy winner?
Oh, there
should have been.
Yes. Peter, how are you, man? Thanks for joining us.
I'm fine. How y'all doing today?
Good. So, I mean, I don't know how often you bump into Florida State fans, but how often do you get the Heisman? It should have been yours, man. Does that bother you at all that you didn't get to walk away with that?
Look, you know what? Honestly, I never truly got to tell my story about it.
Here you go. It's all you, man. Let it rip.
Nah, I never got an opportunity to tell my story about it, but it was very unfortunate. I wish I can go back. I'm older, wiser, more mature now. Would have made better decisions back then. But, it is what it is. I thank God for the blessing that He stored upon me. And, look, I'm getting my jersey retired, and I just thank God for that.
Could you imagine if this would have happened in today's day and age, 2018, with Twitter and 24/7 news? I mean, the number one standout wide receiver in the entire nation. And I mean, I don't know. I don't want to make you say anything you don't want to say, Pierre. But I mean, are you're at peace with it though? You say?
I mean, it took me a while. It took me a while to grasp because it was kind of tough. Because in my heart, I felt like I should have won. But more importantly, something that I really never talked about was me winning the Biletnikoff.
Yeah, and he didn't win that either.
I felt like I'm gonna be honest about that. I felt like they took that from me. I understand about the Heisman Trophy. Because not only do it play a part on what kind of person you are, how you play on the field, and I made a bad decision. But as far as me being the best receiver in college football, everybody know that.
Was it Trey Walters? Was it Trey Walters that won it that year? Who won it instead of you?
I think it was Troy Walters.
Troy Walters. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't remember his name. Sorry, Pete. But he wasn't you.
No, it wasn't me. That was kind of hard for me, and it was like I couldn't really believe it. I can remember sitting down at the Biletnikoff, and when they didn't call my name, tears rolled down my eyes, and I was about to get up and walk away. and my mom was like, "You better not do it. You better have more class than that." She said it just wasn't your day. And it took me a while, but in my heart, right now to this day, I still feel like they took that from me.
Well, listen, you didn't get the Biletnikoff, but LeBron James knows who you are, and I'm pretty sure LeBron James does not know who Troy
Walters
or Tommy
is.
Walters.
Hey, fine player, I'm sure, but yeah, he wasn't Peter Warrick. And more importantly, Pete, you won the national championship that year.
Oh, yes.
And now that they're playing Virginia Tech, I have a memory from that game, and I assume, obviously, I know you remember the play, the catch in the end zone, but do you remember the whole fans before that play? Do you remember what the place was doing before Rick called that play?
I know you remember, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah, I was part of it, man. I was in the stadium. I heard it. So I assume you obviously heard it too, huh?
You better believe it when they was yelling, Peter Warrick. Peter Warrick. I heard him. So, I looked at Coach B. I said,
Had to bless him.
Yes. I said, you want me to finish him? He said, you want to finish him? I said, yes. He said, get a ball to number 9.
Right.
I made it happen. I thought I was going to make it happen. There's no way I was leaving out of there losing that game when I had just lost the year before to Tennessee.
And Winky didn't make the best of throws on that play either. Like, you had to come back to the ball. He kind of threw it off his back foot. But in reality, it kind of made it even more special, didn't it? I mean, that was the cover of Sports Illustrated. That was kind of, you had a lot of defining plays, but do you figure like that was kind of the defining one? The most defining?
See, that's how God works. Even though I was wide open on the play, he could have threw it further down the field. I still would have caught it.
Mm-hmm.
But he threw it short, and, I still made the catch. And now it's something that people talk about. Every time I see people, that's all they talk about. I told them that the best catch that I seen at Florida State was maybe like a couple months ago in softball by Warren.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. You're right up there, man.
Yes, sir.
You and Jessica Warren.
Peter, how crazy is it that Willie Taggart, some kid from Palmetto, Florida, that you know from being back in the Bradenton area, is now the head football coach at your beloved alma mater?
I think that it's truly, honestly, it's a blessing to have him be the head coach, because for me, it's not nothing. I mean, it's special to me because of who he is, because I know him as a person. And I think that it's just an honor for him to have an opportunity to always love Florida State, to want to play at Florida State. Now he's the head coach at Florida State. It doesn't get no better than that. And it's his dream job. And I think that he's doing something so special for this team. And those guys love him. I can tell they're going to love to play for him. And I think it's going to be a great season. I can't wait. I really can't wait.
Peter, how good was Willie back when y'all were playing in rec ball and in high school? How good was he?
He was so good that we had to prepare our defense for him.
Right.
It was Willie Tiger Show and a guy named Seven Wiggins.
Did he go anywhere?
Seven. He went to Nebraska.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I've heard of that school. They were pretty good back in the mid-'90s.
Yeah, they was, and that was when he went there. Yep. Him and Seven Wiggins was like, well, Seven Wiggins won Mr. Football in Florida.
Oh,
so
all right.
So with Willie, he was special. He ran the option, and if he break out, you ain't gonna catch him.
Right.
So we just try to prepare our defense for him and Seven Wiggins.
Were you guys grew up a few houses down? Like, I guess give us an idea of how close you guys were. Were you acquaintances? Were you like friends that slept over and hung out on the weekends? Like, how close? Because you went to different high schools, but how close were you guys?
We went to different high schools. He went to Manatee, I went to Southeast, which actually Southeast, that's the best high school in Bradenton, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Well, you would say that, sure.
Make sure y'all tell Willie I said that.
Okay? Yeah, we'll let him know.
But yeah, we was real close. He stayed out there in Palmetto, and I was in Palmetto too, but I was going to school in Bradenton.
Right.
So, and we was real good friends. And I've been beating him for a long time, man.
Oh, I was going to say, man, he always said that. I think there was one game he was telling us where they had a lead late. And he told his coach, man, do not punt the ball to that kid. Don't punt it to him. Punt it out of bounds. And instead they punted it to you and you ran it back and won the game. I assume he was remembering that correctly?
Yeah, I remember that. That was I think that was start of the P-Dub era.
Right.
That was the start of the P-Dub era.
Hey, could you have played quarterback in college? I know you're going to say yeah, but could you have played at Florida State? Did you think about being a quarterback in college? Was that something that mattered to you at all, or did you always know you were going to be a receiver?
I really didn't know. I just knew that, I'm going to be honest, when I was in high school, when I was deciding which college I was going to go to, I was going to go to Nebraska because Tommy Fraser is from Bradenton. And they ran the option at Nebraska.
Right.
And I was running the same kind of offense in high school. So I was going to go to Nebraska and play quarterback and run the option. And they wanted me like no other. They was like, you can come here, Tommy's leaving and you're going to be the guy. And but I always knew that Florida State was my school.
Peter, there's no cell phones back in the day, or at least, you had it weighed like 27 million pounds of cell phones. So you weren't getting text messages and there wasn't internet message boards. And, you're coaching high school now and you're around these kids.
Yeah.
But how crazy was the recruitment around you? What was it like? The temptations and the options and the people coming at you? Was it any crazier than what you see the kids going through these days? Or do we even have an idea of how it was like to be you?
Honestly, I think like the difference is now, because, you know, I coach for high school. I think the difference is now that when I was coming up and I had coaches coming to the school, you know, and not only coming to the school, but coming to the game. You know, nowadays they don't have to come to the game. All they have to do is look at huddle and see how good you are. Shoot, they're not only doing it for high school kids, they're doing it for kids in youth league football. Kids scoring 6-7 times a game, and people putting it up on the internet and Facebook. And remember, we was doing the same thing on the regular, just nobody never saw it.
Man, I'd love to see Peter Warrick, like 9-year-old Peter Warrick highlights. I mean, good
But
grief.
I was scoring like 6-7 times a game.
Of course you were, man.
From offense, defense, punt return, kick return. But nobody, it wasn't getting recorded. If it was recorded, it was on the VHS. See, people don't even know what that is.
Man, they don't even know what that even stands for. So I got to ask you, man, the 1998 game against Tennessee, why didn't they just put you at quarterback? Would you would you have won the game and been a 2-time national champion? And no disrespect to Outson, if you had just been the quarterback the whole game and just done like a wildcat with Peter Warrick?
I don't know. I think my answer to that is, if I would have ran that punt back and not got hit by the punter,
well, yeah,
we would have won the game.
You kind of kick yourself over. I mean, here's the thing. I don't know if Aslan.
I think about that to this day.
Aslan's a little too young.
I always say I would never ever let the punter or the kicker tackle me.
And it was a form tackle. It was a good tackle that kid had, but it was an incredible return. Like Peter Warrick did what Peter Warrick does.
What it was, I think it was Troy Saunders. I thought that he was going to block him, so I actually didn't see him.
Oh, I got you.
I really didn't see him, and he hit me right in the dead center of my chest. A great tackle.
It was, and like it was one of those Peter Warrick things where he made 4 guys miss. He's in the open field. Everybody's like, all right, that's a touchdown. And then out of nowhere, the punter just got. I think he had to settle for a field goal.
Yeah, we had to settle for a field goal, and we needed a touchdown there.
Yeah,
I think that would have put us ahead.
I also think maybe you could have gotten more than one catch. That's just me.
Offensive coordinator Clark.
He had one catch, man. You had the best player in the country, and he had one catch. But hey,
it was tough.
I wanted to ask you too, real quick, man. Just because he's such a legend and he turned out to be an incredible player. You roomed with Randy Moss. Did you know how incredible that dude was? Like, what did he look like in practice on the scout team? What did that look like?
And look, when me and Moss was roommates. So,
man,
Coach, I'm telling you, this is Coach Bowden. I heard him say, "Y'all think that we are good right now. My 2 best wide receivers are not even playing."
Redshirting.
So what it was me and Moss. You know, when you the 2 receivers, you always go against the 1 defense. So me and Moss went against the 1 defense, so we was getting better and better each day. So what he was doing, he was taking them up top, going deep, and I was killing them short.
I mean,
he take them deep, I catch the short ball and shake them. But I already knew that Moss was going to be special. I said, anywhere he go, he's going to be Randy Moss, because that's the kind of person that he was. That's kind of athlete. He was a hard worker. So I already knew.
Yeah, man, imagine that. And I talked to Danny Cannell about that maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and how upset he was that his last year, he not only had Peter Warrick redshirting, he had Randy Moss redshirting. Now, Andre Cooper and E.G. Green were very good players.
I learned everything from E.G. Green.
But man, Peter Warrick and Randy Moss, we can't get them on the field?
Hey, look, I had somebody ask me the other day. It's funny how we talking about it. They said, Pete, if Randy Moss would have been at Florida State, what you would have did? I said, Moss just would have been on the other side. What you talking about?
I mean, yeah, y'all would have scored 70 points. Y'all would have won a couple more now. You won a couple more national championships, that's for sure.
You better believe it.
Peter,
you better believe it.
How does it feel all these years later to still come back to Tallahassee? I mean, you know, the kids these days, as we like to joke, have a very short memory, but it feels like you're the type of player that the teenagers and guys that are 50, 60 years old, you know, still remember as clear as day. What's it like for you when you come back to Tallahassee?
When I come back to Tallahassee, it's just like they welcome me with open arms and love. And when I come back, they still yell, Peter, Warrick. I be like, I asked my mom the other day, I was like, Mom, did I really ball out like that? She said, son, I know that you are humble, but you did. I'm like, man. And she said, you never know how many lives that you touch. I say, but Mom, they don't really know what kind of person that I am. She said, that's going to be a story that you will have to tell one day. I say, Mama, you all right. You all right. You feel me?
And if they don't know about Peter Warrick, it's all over YouTube, folks. Go watch. Yeah. By the way, my last question. I actually watched your highlights like 2 nights ago because I knew we'd be talking to you this week. Do you ever go back and watch your highlights?
You know what? I just went back and watched my highlights maybe like 2 days ago, but it wasn't college. It was the NFL.
Oh.
Somebody put it up on YouTube, and I went and watched it. And I was sending it to a lot of my friends. They was like, man, you know what? You've been my friend all this time, and we never knew what you did while you was in Cincinnati. And now we see. They was like, you was doing the same thing in the NFL that you was doing in college. I said, yeah, the difference is we was never on TV. We was never winning. We was like 2-14, 4-12, stuff like that. We never had a winning season.
Right.
So people never really seen us play on TV.
Peter, are you ever going to ask Willie if he's got an opening, if he's got a room for you?
I just think whenever the timing is right, whenever God sees fit, I figure that he'll come get me. And when he do come get me, guess what? Surprise! I will be there.
And you can teach all the receivers how to break ankles.
Yeah.
That's the one thing, man. I'm telling you, watch his YouTube clips. It's like watching Hot Sauce. It's like watching an A&1 mixtape. It's nuts. He makes people take knees and fall to the ground. Did you always have that, by the way? Could you always just make people miss?
No, I was doing that since I was a little kid. People don't really know, but I started football. I started playing football when I was 12 years old.
As a 12-year-old, you could set up a defender where you would do that little wiggle shake thing, and they would just fly by you. Like you just had it naturally. Nobody taught you that. It was just a gift you had.
Yeah. It was just something that was God's gift. Something that He blessed me with. And I have people coming up to me right now, and they always say, "Man, we looked up to you." I got people that I don't know in like 3 and 4 years. They be like, "Man, you know what? We never knew who you was. You the most humblest person that I ever met that's an athlete." It was like we knew that you were somebody, but we really didn't know because of how you carry yourself. It was like, man, that it's good to know a person like that. I say thank you.
I just hope Troy Walters is that humble.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a knock against Troy Walters.
Man, come on, though.
He balled out.
Right, sure, but you were the best receiver in the country.
2-time consensus All-American Peter Warrick. Y'all know him as P-Dub. He'll be here in Tallahassee. He'll be at Saw Talk with Marvin Jones. They'll be meeting the fans at 6 to 6:30, and Saw Talk kicks off 90 minutes before kickoff. Peter, thanks so much for the time, man.
Thank you, Peter.
Man.
That was Peter Bleepin' Warrick. That was pretty cool. We'll be right back after this. You're listening to Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.
Saw Talk makes its triumphant return, folks. Monday, it's a home game. Every home game, there's Saw Talk. Pretty sure that's how it works. Anyhow, from 6 to 6:30, you can hear the aforementioned Peter Warrick, who, thanks again for your time, P-Dub. By the way, Corey, you heard this as we were trying to get a hold of him earlier. When you call Peter Warrick's number, it'll say, the voicemail box, or the person you're trying, I screwed it up again, right, Corey? Tried to do this earlier in the week.
I mean, you can't talk you can't say anything right.
It's a bad show. it's
so it's a good show. It's just a bad performance by you.
You're
but
good.
You still got
sorry.
time.
I'm sorry.
You still got half the show to pick it up.
Yeah, it's you've reached the voicemail box of Corey Clark, but it's P-Dub. I mean, it's not just P-Dub. It's P, and there's some emphasis with it. There's some swag, I guess you could say. But anyhow, him and Marvin Jones, who you heard on the program yesterday, will be able to. You can meet and greet with them between 6 and 6:30 at the Sod Cemetery, and then Sod Talk will begin at 6:30, and those guys will give you some great war stories that they didn't have time to get through with us here on the radio. Also, this will be on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, Corey. I don't know if you're going to be in town, but there'll be a War Chant meet and greet over at Garnet and Gold on Pensacola Street, and there'll be 4:30. You can hang out 5-star, Gene, Michael Langston. I'll be there if you want to heckle me or whatever. But also stick around because at 5 o'clock, Bobby Bowden and Charlie Ward will be signing autographs. That's the Garnet and Gold location that's on West Pensacola Street next to the stadium. And don't forget, what's the promo code? NOL2018. Corey's giving everybody $50, everybody. If you're a brand new subscriber,
you're welcome.
He's going to foot the bill.
So people are going to get to meet us and Charlie Ward and Bobby Bowden? What a day.
In one day. In one day. And then there's
in one fell swoop, man. Like in a 10-minute period, you can meet all the greats of Florida State athletics.
And then 24 hours after that, there'll be a football game played in Doak Campbell Stadium with significant implications.
And the season will be here. By the way, man, I don't know. I guess you're right. You're old enough to remember those Nebraska teams in the 90s, how just ridiculous they were.
Yeah.
Imagine Peter Warrick running that offense.
That would have been something.
Good grief.
How did we let Tommy Frazier leave the state? I just don't get it. I mean,
hey man, he was an option quarterback. He could have come to Florida State and played. He wasn't going to beat out Charlie Ward.
Right.
But he could have played DB or receiver, but they weren't going to move him to quarterback because they liked the guys they had.
Yeah, and Steve Spurrier has got no use for a option quarterback.
No, and it wasn't like it wasn't like the teams in the state of Florida were struggling to get good quarterbacks in the 90s. But yeah, you certainly could have used Tommy Frazier somewhere on your football team. I just don't know if Mark Richt wanted him to run the 4-wide shotgun.
Yeah. So Corey, do you have enough time to get out and buy a black shirt for Monday night, or are you just going to have to kind of be that guy in the press box that's not in on the blackout?
Well, no. In fact, because we have our War Chant polos that Gene was nice enough to buy us. They're really nice polos, apparently. My buddy saw it and was like, wow, you got I think Columbia might be the company that makes them.
Correct.
But he was all fired up, like, oh, wow, those are really nice. You got that for free? And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, I've a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but, my boss gave me this for free. But that's black. The one I'm going to wear on Monday night is going to be black. So, okay. I mean, I assume we're supposed to wear our War Chant polos to the games, aren't we?
I don't know. I wore mine yesterday at Willie's press conference. I think I'm going to go Jared Shanker, bring his spirit back and go full suit.
Oh, God. Of course. Well, anyway, Ira's going to be in something. Who knows? I will be in my black War Chant polo shirt. Not just because it's a blackout, although it's not a blackout because I don't think they want other people to wear black. But I like wearing black, especially when I might be walking around the stadium for a good while because you can't see my sweat stains. That's the key. It's key to the whole operation, my man.
Hyperhidrosis or drosis or whatever. That's what Corey has. Well, that's the thing because we were talking about it out loud during the press conference before Willie showed up. And, the question was, okay, so they're going to wear black, but is it a blackout? And they even said, well, no, it's not technically a blackout. They're not going to have, shirt stands set up out front. There's not going to be a black T-shirt on every seat telling everybody to wear it. But they're like, it'd be a good idea to wear. I think they said something along the lines of it would be nice if the fans would wear the same color that their team is wearing. But, yeah, this is not Happy Valley, against Ohio State or I don't know where else does blackouts, whiteouts, greenouts, whatever. But it's not one of those things. It's just not everybody. But they're going to wear black jerseys and I think garnet helmets, which it's going to be weird to see because I don't know. I'm not bothered by it. It's just kind of odd when the team you root for just doesn't look like the team that you usually root for.
It's going to be interesting, man. Obviously, my feelings on it. I do not care. But there are people that do, and there are people that give money to the university that do. And they really like the uniforms that they already have. And they're probably a little skeptical, man. The guy's very first game, he lets the players pick the uniform. And it's a uniform combination they haven't worn against an ACC opponent in 10 years. And by the way, in that game they lost. They used to always have blackouts against Boston College and always lose. But anyway, the last time they wore it was when half the receiving corps had gotten in a fight at the student union, so half of them were ineligible, and they lost to Boston College in 2008. That's the last time they wore black uniforms, and I think people are like, okay, man, well, Willie, we're not Oregon. Like, it's not part of our tradition to change uniforms all the time. And at South Florida and Western Kentucky, nobody gave a flip. But you're now at a program where they actually really like their colors, and they want to cheer the garnet and the gold. They think it looks good. It's what they grew up on. So, maybe cool it with that a little bit. I'm not saying that's what I think. I'm saying that I could understand why people might be leery that, okay, is he going to change? Is next week going to be garnet on white, and then the week after that, gold on gold? Like, when do we get to just see the normal uniforms? Is this a one-time-a-year thing? Or is this, hey, the Unity Council decided this week they want to wear all white with, garnet shoes and a black helmet? I guess that's what people might be concerned about. But again, people, it's 2018. Look around the country. We got plenty of bigger things to worry about than the Florida State football team's uniform combination.
Yeah, like the depth chart. What is up with that?
Right, yeah, Keith Gaffin. Why is he playing in front of all these other guys? Yeah, no, I got it.
I'm hopeful and optimistic for Keith.
Man, I hope Keith Gavin goes for 8 for 162.
Ooh, robust. I like
it. Just does double birds up to the press box after each touchdown.
I tried to find this post. It would have probably been. I was going to probably name it the worst post of the month. There's somebody who actually responded to one of the uniform threads, the jersey threads, and it was along the lines of, "I'm not going to go to the game. I'll give my tickets to my son, but I refuse to go watch the game if they're going to wear." It's like that. You feel that strongly, about it.
How could anyone?
I don't know.
Tradition. I get you're kind of like, man, I want to see the cool color combination. I get it. I understand that, but how could you feel that strongly to not want to go? Because the uniform combination, it's still your school, it's still your program, it's still the guys you cheer for. I mean, I don't know. I don't get it, man. I've never been one of these guys that cared all that much, and I certainly don't about this. To me, it is an odd first decision to make just because it's the first game. That's it, though.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite?
I get it. It's a Monday night. It's weird anyway. It's a different kind of game anyway.
Do you have a favorite blackout memory? I was at the first one. I was at the Boston College game. Pretty sure it was a noon kickoff, and that was the most bizarre thing about it. It was like we're blacking out at noon. It was a
blackout during the day.
Noon?
And I remember that they were trying to run out the clock in the first half, or they said they were, and Weatherford threw an out that was intercepted and run back for a touchdown. Somehow, with like 11 seconds left at their own 35, he threw a pass that was intercepted and run back for a touchdown. And I remember Bowden after the game saying, "I can't believe he threw that pass." And I wasn't there at the time. It was the next year that I joined. I came down to cover Florida State, but I remember at the time thinking, I can't believe you called the pass. All that. Like, what were you even trying to do? Why didn't you just take a knee? You literally could have let the clock run out. But anyway, that's probably my most memorable blackout moment, and there aren't many. And I remember the whiteout they had against South Florida a few years later that ended just as ugly.
That was a whiteout? I was at that game. I don't remember being a whiteout.
I'm almost positive it was a whiteout.
I was there for that game. I remember.
Like 17-7 game? I'm going to look that up right now. You keep talking.
Was it Tavares Presley? Was he running back?
That was like the only carry he had in his career.
It was like a fumble, right?
Yeah, he got drilled, and then it was a fumble.
That game was great. Yeah, USF, remember that one.
Yeah, Florida State whiteout.
Really? It was a whiteout.
Yep.
I probably had a white polo that I wore, but I didn't buy it for that specific occasion. But if I did buy one, I'd go to Garden and Gold. All right, Corey, let's step aside. Let's take a break. I'm getting a little bit better. I just got about 4 more minutes to tough it out. I'll try and see if I can do it.
Do it.
Come back, everybody. It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
It's Corey Maslon's Wake Up War Chant. Welcome back to the program. Meant to mention this last week, Corey, during the Tallahassee Quarterback Club meeting where Willie Taggart was the keynote speaker. I was sitting in the corner, and this guy was kind of like eyeballing me down. I'm like, uh-oh, I think he recognizes me and doesn't like me or something. Might want to square up.
Right.
He walked over, nice as can be. His name is Mike. Apparently he's also part of our armed forces, and he actually said that he was getting ready to go to Afghanistan. Listens to the show every day. Huge fan of yours. I think he just hangs around for me, but huge fan of yours. And I think he actually said that he told his wife to save every podcast while he's away and send it to him, or at least have it waiting for him when he gets back. Yeah, I mean, true story. Yeah, and that was like the
All right, Mike.
yeah. So shout out to Mike. I meant to give him. I'm like, oh, I'm going to give you a shout out on the show. And you know, I got so much stuff going on in my life, being a single man who just sits at home and ponders his life, that I forgot about our guy Mike. So shout out to Mike, man. Hope you're listening to this. Hope you're doing well.
I don't think your lady friend's going to appreciate you calling yourself single.
I'm just kidding. Oh, that's right. But I don't know. Like on the census form, I check off single. I'm not married. You know?
Right, but if you were at a bar and a woman said, "Hey, are you single?"
Right, but this is with the family. We're all just hanging around we're all hanging around we're hanging around Corey's bar right now. We're at Uncle.
But that's a very nice story, Mike. You're the man. Thank you very much for your service.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of yours.
All sorts of people listen to us. All right, I want to talk about this too, Corey. I put this in my little notes thread. I hate statistics. Like I used to love numbers when it comes to talking about football and sports, but I'm just over them now. I just see them manipulated way too much, and it's ridiculous. And you've pointed this out many times on the show, and we've gone to minor skirmishes over it. Like Florida State's defense was not statistically a bad defense last year. I guess maybe you could even argue they weren't a bad defense, period. Now, I'm not saying they were bad, but they weren't great. But your friend David Hale tweeted this thing out the other day. It was actually earlier. It was last week, but it just came on my timeline. He tweeted out the highest percentage of plays stopped for loss or no gain by a defense in 2017. All right, so basically, a win for the defense. It was either tackle for loss or no gain. Florida State was
self-explanatory.
Florida State was tied with Alabama, 10th best in the nation. 39 of the plays ran against the Florida State defense last year went for no yards or a loss. I guess it must have been the Delaware State game. Like no single play must have been for positive yards, and that's where they made no. I'm kind of nervous because what happens if this Josh Jackson guy is really good and there's some inexperience in the secondary and miscommunication, the linebackers aren't filling things, and they just kind of run up and down the field on us. And then I'm like, oh, this whole defense, I thought that was going to be totally transformed. No, and then who knows? Maybe this whole time Charles Kelly was a genius, and I just didn't realize his genius because I don't know anything about football.
Well, no, he's not a genius. We know that. But you said 39% of the plays run against Florida State's defense last year were 0 or no yards?
Highest percentage of plays stopped for loss or no gain by a defense last year. That's the way the statistic was presented. Virginia Tech was second in the nation, 41.8%.
All right. Well, yeah, man. That's a lot. That's a high percentage.
That's bizarre.
But yeah. So Delaware State had 15 rushing attempts, 24 rushing attempts for 0.6 yards a carry. It also had 20 incompletions. So you're looking at about 36 plays from that game. 30 to 35 plays from that game went from zero yards or tackle for loss. So that skewed it. So did Florida, quite frankly, because that offense was a train wreck. So how did they do against the good offenses? That's what you want to wonder, right?
Right.
They didn't play a ton of great offenses last year. Alabama's offense with Jalen Hurts was mediocre at best.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? They didn't play a ton. Lamar Jackson, I remember him doing all right. The offenses that had a couple of playmakers, Florida State, they did struggle a little bit. Miami late. Well, everybody late, really. But, they played Duke. They played Wake Forest. Clemson's offense, quite frankly, wasn't very good. They didn't play a lot of tough offenses last year. I mean, Clemson's offense was okay. They had some talented wide receivers, but that quarterback's not very good. And yeah, man, Florida State played well that day. And they played well against Alabama. And they played well against Wake and at Duke. But that's Wake and Duke. You look back at that, the good quarterbacks they played last year, and there weren't many. I think the guy at NC State's a good quarterback. Lamar Jackson obviously is a great quarterback, and those were the offenses that obviously gave them issues. But they, those quarterbacks are supposed to give issues to every defense, and I guess that's where you're right to wonder about how good this Virginia Tech kid is. If he's as good as like Fuente thinks he is, then yeah, man, he could be a problem. He could be a bit of an issue. But overall, last year's defense was good. I don't think it was great. That number kind of stuns me. But then I look back at 2017 and think, okay, how many good offenses did they really face? And it wasn't that many. I think this year they're going to face a few better offenses, and I think Miami's offense will be better this year too.
So all the things in life that puzzle and confound me, I can bring them to you, and you will unravel them and bring clarity to them.
Well, I don't know that I did that, but when you look at like the good offenses they faced last year, like high scoring offenses, it was Louisville, they gave up 31, Syracuse they gave up 24, Clemson they gave up 31, but not really, because that was at the end of the game. They'd only given up 17 with like 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and then that was it, man. They didn't play very good offenses the rest of the season, right?
Correct.
I mean, NC State's was pretty good. They gave up 27 to NC State. But they were a good defense last year. They weren't elite. They weren't a defense that took over games and made game-changing plays, but they were good. The offense is what led them to a 7-6 season. I just can't get over that number. But maybe that's – I've never heard of that statistic before, quite honestly. I mean, I know it makes sense, but in the world that teams have, 0 yards on a play or -1 yards on a play – but I didn't know that people kept track of the percentage. And then I don't know if that, like, what did the 96 defense, what was their number?
Yeah.
Was it 60?
Let's ask Elias Sports Bureau to get on it, because I ain't getting on it.
No, there's no way I would do that. Yep. I'm trying to look at Florida, what they did. Right. Florida had 21 incompletions, so that's 0 yards right there. And then they had 2.8 yards per carry. So,
there we go.
That's probably another 30 plays in that game that were for 0 or negative yardage. But again, that was Florida. Like playing an FCS offense.
Coming up on the show tomorrow, Corey decodes the Da Vinci Code right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. I'm kidding. We'll come back tomorrow.
Guys, it's the Louvre. Sorry, spoiler alert.
We're out of time. There was something I wanted to talk about regarding that Clemson game, but we'll save it for tomorrow. It's not the best tease in the world, but it's game day, or game week rather. I can't talk. I'll be better tomorrow, I promise. Come back tomorrow. It'll be cool. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening. Jeff Cameron coming up at 3. Oh, shout out Peter Warrick. Thanks for joining us, bud.
Darn pop-ups and video ads.
Are you wasting your time again on clickbait FSU updates that are bloated down with ads?
Yeah. And after crashing my computer, the information isn't even up to date. You're on warchant.com. What's really going on with the Seminoles?
For the real scoop, you'll need to get your own War Chant subscription.
What's it cost?
Free. There's a 30-day trial offer right now.
You know I like free. Sign me up.
Use the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Nobody has more accurate and timely information on the Noles than warchant.com.
Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole source.